Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 188. Let's just get right to it. The NBA starts tonight. The Chiefs are in first place in the whole league. The Bills are falling apart. And yet none of that. I had a winning weekend of picks, even though I gave Damoza terrible teaser advice that cost him. None of that is the lead story today. Instead, of course, we'll talk Monday Night Football. First, let me get to what missed the cut. Not on today's show. Caleb Williams and the USC Trojans lose again. Bijan Robinson sick. The NFL's investigating in case you had props or fantasy on it. And Nick's apology to Tyson Bagent. Yeah, listen, Tyson, you were better than I thought you would be. You know what? My apologies in the form of how much money you cost me this weekend. Damoza, how are you doing this morning? We were texting during the game. You were calling me a hater. You were, I think, a little disappointed in me. But be honest, before we get into the actual story, when you were watching that, did you have a moment where you're like, God dog it, he can be annoying, he can be obnoxious, but my dad might know what he's talking about sometimes? Be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think that happens all the time. It's just your delivery. It makes it hard to accept,
That is correct. Story of my life. More often than not proven correct. People, though, don't want to accept it because I'm so abrasive with how I deliver the information. Speaking of delivering the information, Damoza, what happened on Monday Night Football last night?
Well, so Brock Purdy lost to the Vikings 22-17. This was in Minnesota, though. So he threw a pick at the end when he had a chance to go down there and win the game. But that was followed by two nice passes that got them in that position. But we're not here to talk about that, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is kind of fallen into your eventually right column. Do you think that the Purdy train or the Purdy hype has come to a sudden stop? Or is there a way out of this?
Well,
you think, you can rally?
Well, no, I mean, listen. Mahomes Mountain is on TV today. And people are like, oh, how far is Purdy going to fall? Probably won't fall. Because he is who I told you he was. And, oh, Nick, what more do you need to see? Well, I told you exactly what I wanted to see. Brock Purdy, down a score, chance to drive the field. We saw it last week, down 2. And on the very first play of the drive, he threw it right to Greg Newsome, who dropped it. He then threw a dump-off pass to Brandon Ayuk, who took it 40 yards, and people were like, oh, what more do you want from him? It's not his fault they missed the kick. And I was like, I don't know, over the first 58 minutes of the game, not get outplayed by P.J. Walker just because you're down a couple of injuries due to injury. Then this week, against the Minnesota Vikings, and that defensive personnel, it's Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith, and a bunch of guys. All of a sudden, no Debo, no Trent Williams, looking awful pedestrian. And even over the course of that game, he was fine. Over the course of the game, Brock Purdy was doing Brock Purdy things. Throwing to open Brandon Ayuk, throwing to an open George Kittle. He really only had one bad play early, right after his best throw of the night, right as Troy Aikman was saying he threw that ball as well as anyone can throw one. He threw George Kittle a hospital ball that Kittle was lucky only resulted in him getting hit in the groin and not getting spun over on his head. But he had played well. He had a really nice scramble early in the game. It's like, oh, Purdy's doing some nice things. However, he then found himself in the exact scenario when the day after he went 20 of 21, and I came on this show, and Damoza, on behalf of the entire football world, said to me, what more do you want? What do you want him to do? And I said, more. I said, I want to see him in a situation where the other team knows he has to pass, where they are down late, and see how he comes through. And what did he do? He threw one of the worst picks of the NFL season. Then his defense got a stop. He got the ball back, and he threw another one. And the drive before that, the reason they were punting was because on 3rd and 6, It would have been a good play, but he was scrambling, had a guy open across the middle of the field, and he skipped the ball to him. You know why? Because fact of the matter is, he's a physically limited guy who couldn't get enough arm on the football. And late in that game, it is a lot of guys when everyone is exactly where they're supposed to be, when the defense is more worried about the run, when you have skill advantage all over the field, a lot of guys can look sharp. But all of a sudden you're down somebody. All of a sudden the other team is teeing off against the pass. All of a sudden you've got to stand there and make throws. And it's not that he just didn't come through. He gave the game away on the first pick, got a reprieve thanks to his defense, and gave it away again. So what did I want to see from Brock Purdy? How he would respond in the exact situation that you have to be able to come through in if you're going to be the quarterback of a Super Bowl champion. And that is where the Niners standard is. And thus far, he's had 3 opportunities in his young career, 3 drives the last 3 weeks, and he's 0 for 3. So, I'm not here to say I told you so. And I'm not here to take a victory lap about a guy who has overachieved for the fact that he was the final pick of the draft. This is not so much about Brock Purdy as much as it is about my frustration with my colleagues, most of whom I think deep down agreed with me, but it was not a popular opinion. Well, am I really going to go on TV and say the guy who's never lost and leads the league in passer rating, I don't know if he's that good? Well, I don't know. What is the job? Is the job to say literally what anyone could say? If you never watched the game, just looked at the box score and be like, well, the guy's never lost. He has great stats. He must be awesome. Or is the job to actually look, evaluate, and give a thought on what is duplicable and what is not? Is the job to use data points such as Jimmy Garoppolo had similar levels of success, he then left and now leads the league in interceptions even though he's missed time with Devontae Adams? What is the job? And it was unpopular and people were upset with me. Well, no, their job might be that. My job is to evaluate. And folks, I said it 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, and I retweeted the clip of it so people could see the replies when I said I trust Geno Smith more than Brock Purdy. The responses to that are unanimous in that this guy, no one actually believes that. How can you take him seriously? I trust Geno Smith more than Brock Purdy. When I said folks were writing off the Seattle Seahawks as potential division winners a bit too early. Well, you wake up this morning, the Seahawks have 2 losses. The 49ers have 2 losses. You wake up today, and all of a sudden, the idea that they are just going to run away with the division, that's gone. And I'm going to tell you one other thing. Right now, this moment, you know what Kyle Shanahan Damoza saw on that football field for 3 hours last night?
He looked pretty sad.
The quarterback that he wished he had. Yeah. Yeah. And, God, I have such a galaxy brain Purdy Kirk Cousins take that
the other thing, Cousins was kind of dealing too.
Well, we're going to talk about that as well. But there is, I might wait for this afternoon on TV to say what I'm thinking right now. I need to actually, I don't want to say it off the cuff.
Yeah, I need to look at, I've got something to tell you guys. Oh, wait, I'm not going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you later.
So here's the thing. In a world of aggregation and of a half dozen anonymous, totally unaccountable football Twitter accounts that post other people's clips and other people's news so they can get Elon's money for their blue check mark. I don't want to say something flippantly if it's an impossibility. So let me actually look into well, listen, it's not a bad business model. I mean, it's just all these guys, and they fight with each other. These anonymous, not even necessarily real people football accounts. They're like, hey, you stole. Well, it's like, you stole my tweet. But that tweet that you're saying was stolen, that guy just stole from someone who actually did the work. And so, like, and one of them, you see last week the news story that Caleb Williams wants an equity stake in a team if he gets drafted? That was a story from July from Florio that got very little traction when it happened. Then one of these places posted it like it was new information right after Caleb had the brutal game against Notre Dame, and it caught on like wildfire. So I'm just going to be... So I'm going to... There is an intriguing Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins question that applies to this season that I'm going to make sure I'm right on and then maybe discuss on television. Now to the Kirk Cousins side of things. He was brilliant, Damoza. No Justin Jefferson against an excellent defense, and I thought the way he navigated the pocket on that last drive they had, they didn't end up getting points, but they wound very important clock. There was a third down play where I was certain, and so was Troy on the call, that he was sacked. And then all of a sudden, he still had the ball, and he hit, I think it was Addison. It might have been Osborne, I'm not sure. Up on the near side of the field. He, like, disappeared in the pocket for a moment.
Right.
Then he came through with it. I thought he was excellent. I thought that was as good of a football game.
That game against that Niners
and it's
defense,
not because they weren't getting pressure. Correct.
Right.
And it's not because they weren't getting pressure. He was great, man. I thought Cousins was excellent. And to do that with no Jordan Jefferson. Yeah, on prime time with your season on the line. 3-4, they're alive. And I don't know if you've looked at what their next handful of games are.
Let's see.
They're at Green Bay, at Atlanta, home for the Saints, at the Broncos, home for the Bears, at the Raiders. That's their next 6.
Oh.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. I mean, you've got 4 on the road, but none of those teams are above 500. None of those teams right now are, and then at the end of the year, Bengals, Lions, Packers, Lions. So at the end of the year, it gets hard, but they're alive, man. And maybe Jordan Jefferson comes back, they're alive if they want to be. And so, credit to Kirk. And Jordan Addison was awesome, man. Mm-hmm. He was awesome. Rookie wide receiver doing that, and the really cool dichotomy of Charvarius Ward stealing the ball away from him on the very first drive of the game, and then him making the biggest play of the game, stealing it away from Ward before halftime. Go ahead.
No, it was just really that play was kind of confusing because I saw them all jumbled up, and then he just takes off with it. It was just really cool to see in live time.
I thought
that was more impressive than the pick. Yeah, I thought that play was a lot more interesting and fun than the pick. Obviously, he fell down immediately.
Yeah,
but it was just cool to see him run away with that.
No, I thought it was picked. I thought Cousins threw a pick right before the half. I thought Kevin O'Connell, game management wise, made a bunch of errors. I thought their field goals inside the 5. I thought they needed to be more aggressive. Here's the thing, though.
Yo, and the back-to-back tush push.
I mean, they don't know what to do.
I hated that, by the way. I'm not a big no tush push guy, but that was bad.
But here's the thing on that. You had 1st and goal from the 1.5. You want to try it one time, so be it.
Yeah, back to back.
Once it doesn't work, Once it doesn't work, just be like, you know what? Now we're inside the one, because they did get a little bit of yardage. Yeah. We're just going to run the ball 3 times. We've got to be able to get a single yard, like hand it off to your running back.
That was a little power trip.
But what I'll say is this real quick about Kevin O'Connell being that conservative. That is, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, a bit of an indictment on Purdy. The fact that O'Connell felt we can take 3 points, we can take 3 points, we can punt the ball, those things, that is him saying, I'm not that worried about the 49ers offense. And here is also why it is important to actually watch the games. Like, let's just say that on the first Purdy pick, it had gotten dropped by the defender, and then McCaffrey rips off a run and the Niners win. Not only did the Niners win, Purdy's stats would have looked really, like, they would have looked amazing. And prior to the picks, he hadn't played poorly. I'm not saying that at all. But the only the most impactful pass of the game was that little swing pass to Christian McCaffrey that was blocked up perfectly, and McCaffrey takes it 45 yards to the house. Like, you've got to be able to have some nuance to this stuff. All right, what's the follow-up here on the Niners?
Do you think the 49ers are still at the top tier of NFC teams, or is Philly and everybody else?
Right now, Philly deserves to be considered the best team in the NFC. They won the conference last year. They lost 1 game last year with Jalen Hurts as their starter, and they've been excellent. I don't know that they've been excellent all year, but they have found a way to win.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It's, to me, not that the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, there's not a lot of games this year where they have start to finish played their A game, the Chiefs and the Eagles. Yet, they are the 2 teams that are 6-1. They're the 2 teams that have found ways to win in a way that the other teams haven't.
Sirianni, man.
I tried to. Sirianni, he's annoying, but he's been excellent. He lost both his coordinators. Like, I got to give him credit. I guess I probably feel about Sirianni the way a lot of people feel about me. Annoying, but begrudgingly admit he's excellent.
But his system works, right?
Yeah. But here's what I was trying to say when everyone was trying to just anoint the Niners and Eagles, though. Long season, guys. The Lions were the hot team a week ago. They get whacked by Baltimore. We'll talk about them in a bit. There's a lot of ebbs and flows to it. No one is going. Here's what I know. No one's running away with the NFC. The Eagles haven't looked so dominant that it's like, oh, they're going to go 14-3 and run away with the conference. Not with the schedule they have coming up. The Niners desperately need their guys back. And I know you can say that about, every team to a degree, that's true. But they also play such a physical style of football that they are more susceptible to injuries than a lot of other teams are. And so it is, the Niners were not going to overreact and act like they're, some second-rate team. But any team in all of NFL history, if your biggest question mark on your team is your quarterback, you can always get got. You just can. And the Niners, even before last night, everyone would have had to acknowledge the biggest question mark was their quarterback. And now, and this is the part of when you have nothing but success, it starts to be a ball rolling downhill in a positive direction. Now, the next time Brock Purdy finds himself in this situation, it instantly becomes the biggest moment of his career, and he knows it.
Right.
There is a level of, in sports, if the first time you ever take a potential game-winning shot, you make it, you are so much more likely to then be good at those in the short term. And if the first time you whiff, then the next time it gets harder. And then it gets way harder. And then all of a sudden you're a guy who just can't do it. And so this is where
it's just like people preying on this guy's like downfall.
No, I'm not. No, it's just I'm not praying for it. I'm
some
just
truth in the psychology to it. I get what you're saying, but
like this is not fair, but I think it's true. It's not. I shouldn't say it's not fair. Well, whatever it is. If the Browns kicker had made the field goal against Cleveland, Purdy might have been better on those final drives last night. If the previous week he was in this spot and he did everything the exact same, but it had resulted in a win, then maybe he's a little less anxious on these 2 drives at the end. But instead the kicker missed, then Purdy made big mistakes, and now we'll see. We'll see.
He very well could get that same opportunity in the Bengals game. I feel like that's
absolutely
for the
100% he could. And by the way, it's going to be another game with no Debo. Hopefully for them, Trent Williams is back, but another game with no Debo. All right, next.
All right, man. The Chiefs took care of business, and they beat a struggling Chargers team. It's done everything except for lock up the division. You've already hung up the banners. When has that ever gone wrong? So is your fear that for the Chiefs that their biggest threat is being too complacent or being stagnant, given that they haven't really played super great teams?
No, because that's coming. Listen, they're going to beat the Broncos this weekend. And then they have, over their final 9 games, 4 games against, legitimate teams. Dolphins, Eagles, and back-to-back games, the Bills and the Bengals. And so they're not going. I would have been a little nervous about that if the Chiefs' schedule had been reversed, where the softest part was at the end instead of the beginning. That would make me a little nervous for the playoffs, that they wouldn't be sharp. But they're going to have to be sharp. And here's the other thing. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not, but I do truly believe this. Travis Kelce trying to impress his new girlfriend is great for the Chiefs avoiding complacency. This is the greatest tight end ever who's wildly wealthy, wildly famous, wildly successing.
Yet you give him an extra 34 edge?
Yes. Now at 34 years old, it can go wrong, but you saw the touchdown he scored where he thought he was at the 1-inch line but was at the 3-yard line and put the ball over his head and then somehow must have the strongest hands in football, held onto it and scored. He doesn't do that if Taylor Swift's not at the game. He was like, oh man, this might be my only chance to score a touchdown. I got to do it. When he finally didn't catch a pass and he was so furious, I do think there is, and I think that basically anyone who's ever played sports knows there is an added little sharpness if someone that you're talking to or want to talk to is in the crowd. Damoza, listen, you played sports at a far higher level than me. True or false? There's an added something if your girl or your wannabe girl is in the crowd.
Is completely correct, and it's just really funny because I've never heard it worded like that. But yeah, I do think you get +3 on your attributes.
Yes, if you're 100%. Great, if you're a great player. Now, if you're not, it can go in the opposite, exact opposite direction. Get nervous if you're just a mediocre player. I'll be totally honest here. You were a great athlete and a great basketball player. I loved basketball. I was by no means a great basketball player. And I think I got worse at games that my girlfriend was at in high school. I do. I think because I was I'm not going to have that many opportunities to shine. So, like, maybe I tried to do too much.
But if you're a star, it's really different.
If you're a star and you know you're going to get the ball, you know it's going to run through you, yeah, I think it's good for the Chiefs. I do. Now, she goes on an international tour in November, so I don't know how that's going to play out. But yeah. So I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all. They have the best record in football. They have the second best defense in football. They have a top 5 offense in football, and they're doing it all while practicing. So I'm not worried about that in the least. All right, let's talk Eagles here.
All right, so Philly looked dominant against the Dolphins, and a big part of it was the Tush Push. They used it in key moments, and in some moments it even iced the game. The Vikings may not – oh, no, we're not talking about that. After the game, head coach Nick Sirianni said – I think we're going to show a quote for those watching on YouTube, but he said, every first down is a 1st and 9. People can't do it like we can do it. Don't ban this play. If everybody could do it, everybody would do it. Then he goes, where's the camera at? Some plays just broke their sport, like Kareem's skyhook. You got Steph's 3 and Brady's sneak. Is this cheating, or have the Eagles just found a cheat code and broken the NFL?
So it's not cheating at all, but it's going to go away. Like, it's just so there was no way to legislate out Kareem's skyhook. People have talked, by the way, about since the proliferation of the 3, of if the NBA needs to tweak some things to make it less reliant on the 3, but it would take such an overhaul. Brady's sneak was different than this, because while just as successful on 4th and less than 1, it also looked like every sneak we've ever seen.
Regular. Right.
The NFL has 2 kind of silver bullets here. One is they already have rules against pulling offensive players. So it is not a far stretch to tweak the rule to put back in what once was in about pushing offensive players. The other one is the NFL will put it under the banner of player safety and say, that we need to get rid of this play. But as I told you guys a month ago and everyone got mad at me, the reason the NFL will ban this is because the play sucks. It's not exciting. It takes all suspense out. It's an ugly play. That's it. The NFL changes rules all the time to make things a better television product. This is not good for TV. And I have come around in this regard. I do think Philly gets more credit given the fact that everyone else sucks at it. It does make it seem like it is more about their personnel and their practicing. I totally agree with that. It doesn't change the fact that the NFL is going to, I believe, this offseason get rid of it. And here is the other piece of it that I have said before and I will say again, that I don't understand why there has not been more. Once we saw Philly in a game, they're up 7 on 4th and more than 1 on their own 29 in the 4th quarter, confidently go for this. And Sirianni's right. It is 1st and 9 for them. And if you're playing them on 3rd downs, you can't play the sticks. You've got to play 2 yards short of the sticks. Because if you get them to 4th and less than 2, they're just going to go for this and they're going to get it. But the point that I have tried to hammer, that I think Philly knows, and I think because they don't want it banned, they are not attempting this, but I wonder if they could. Right now, Philly can basically, with 100% success, get 1 yard. And with close to 100% success, get 2 yards. If they were to become able to get 3 yards on this play, it puts the NFL in a spot where they would maybe ban it mid season. If Philly could get 3, right now they get like 1.5. If they could get 3 yards on this play, and you're down 4 to the Eagles with 8.5 left in the fourth quarter, and they just run the tush push until the clock expires, which is all you would have. If once they can get 3 yards, then it's just game over. You do it on first down, second down, third down, fourth down, new set of downs. You wouldn't want to get 17 yards. You just want to do it and be able to run the clock out north of the 6-minute mark. Then it irrevocably changes football in a way that you can argue is, you know what I mean, Philly's earned it, whatever it is. I'm not trying to have that argument. But it would be terrible for the sport. Just terrible. Philly fans would like it, kind of. Philly fans would like it the way you like it if your team is doing hack-a-shack in an NBA game. You're like, okay, I guess it's, make your free throws, but it's not exactly fun. And so the fact that Philly is not too good at it is right now working in their advantage, but the NFL can't leave open to chance that this offseason they master it and it becomes the majority of their second half playbook. It's like, well, we can get 3 yards on it. I said just running out the clock. If you could get 3 yards on this, and we're not that far from it, you could run it the entire game. If you can get 3 yards on it, you could run it the entire game. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think the Eagles are going to do that. They know that that's ugly. I think they did it 4 times this game. That's once a quarter. I can't see them just like spamming it. Like they know at the end of the nobody's trying to see all of that. Come on now.
I agree. But let me ask you a question. The fact that possibility exists is why the NFL is going to get rid of it. Like, Philly fans got so mad at me about this. I am not even, from my own perspective, I think it's bad for the sport because it's an entertainment product and it's not entertaining. Take my opinion out of it. Non-opinion, just prediction. My prediction is the Eagles have 10 games plus the playoffs left of this play being available to them. And maybe, hopefully for them, they make the most out of it. All right, next.
This guy's going to be praying for a Mahomes tush push in a couple of years. I feel like it's still going to be going on. You're going to be like, man, this rule or this play.
It's bad for the sport.
It is ugly. It's really ugly.
I mean, like, there's an element of, like, I don't know. I compared it to 75 years ago, baseball owner Bill Veck hired a little person, I think he was 2 feet 11 inches tall, to play on his baseball team. And he went and he had him pinch hit. The guy had no strike zone, so he immediately got walked. And then he put in a pinch runner and, whatever it is. Baseball changed the rule like that week. And so there are certain things that you can say, oh, well, that's, why it's one team's figured it out, but it's just bad for the sport. All right, next. Go ahead.
All right, man. So my guy Lamar Jackson definitely embarrassed Detroit. You've been having this team of the week thing going on. I'm pretty sure Detroit was the team of the week, and it's all been falling in line. They beat them. Lamar obviously looked phenomenal. Is Baltimore the real deal, or are they just the next team to beat? Do you think they're bound for an upset?
Well, I mean, listen, they're playing at the Cardinals. So I don't, that would be a horrific loss.
Right.
They then have Seattle, Cleveland, Cincinnati in the next 3 weeks. Then, you know what I mean? All in Baltimore, by the way. Those should be 3 good games. I think I missed on the Ravens this year. I think I missed on them. Lamar looks, listen, I'll give you credit. Lamar looks great.
Looked great.
He looks great.
He looked really good, man. His decision making, I think there was a bunch of times where it looked like he was about to run off. It looked like he was about to get sacked, and he played around in the pocket a little bit longer, and he did the dink and dunk passes that you say that he's kind of like been very missy on. He was hitting the short ones. He was hitting the long, extended played ones. He looked really good, man. He looked really good.
That first point you made, Damoza, is exactly what jumped out to me as well, which was there were at least 3 times in this game where in the past he would have taken off running. And instead, he kind of just stayed, not necessarily in the pocket, but behind the line of scrimmage with his eyes downfield. And then either one time he made a deep pass to the end zone. One time it was a little over-the-top pass, I think, to Mark Andrews. Or maybe it was, I'm not sure.
No,
but regardless, the RPO is the run-pass option. And he's been a lot more R than P in his history on those plays. This week, he was key. And no, the Ravens are scary right now. And the defense, despite the injuries, is allowing 14 points per game. It appears you nailed that one. Listen, I'm not going to all of a sudden act like I don't think the Lions are good. The Lions are good. And the Lions defense had been playing well this year, and Lamar cut them up. And the Lions offense, Goff hadn't had a terrible game in a year, and he was bad. No, the Ravens are legit. Ravens are legit. They got to stay healthy, but they're a scary team.
Just so everybody knows that Lamar and the Ravens, that's my team. I know I've been advocating very heavy for the Niners and Purdy, but that's just because I'm all for a good story. My heart.
That is Damoza's team. That was Damoza's Madden team. That was his team in the offseason that he announced. No. The Ravens are Damoza's team. That is true. You can ask the follow-up real quick.
Yeah. So how stupid does it seem that these teams wouldn't trade 2 firsts for Lamar? And the Lions, the Falcons, the Colts, the Patriots, Jets, Panthers, Commanders.
It's not just that they wouldn't trade 2 firsts, Damoza. It's that they proactively release statements like, "We're not interested. We don't want to be involved." It's crazy. It is
really
how
crazy.
That looks right now is crazy. Even if people think, well, the Ravens would have matched and you wouldn't have gotten him, okay, so be it. At least then you tried. Could the Patriots right now be 5-2 instead of 2-5 if Lamar was there instead of Mac Jones? Of course they could. All right, take a quick break. Reminder, you guys can ask questions in the chat. We'll get to them. Do a little NBA preview and then get to your questions. All that's next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 188. And I love and use Airbnb all the time, whether for a work trip or for a vacation. I'm always looking for the best places to stay. Maybe you yourself have stayed in Airbnb before and thought, hey, seems pretty doable. Maybe my place could be an Airbnb. It could be as simple as starting with a spare room or your whole place when you're away. Either way, you could be sitting on an Airbnb and not even know it. Maybe you're traveling to see friends and family for the holidays. While you're away, your home could be an Airbnb. Whether you could use extra money to cover some bills or for something a little more fun, your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. All right, believe it or not, the NBA season starts tonight. It doesn't really feel like it, but it does. Damoza, let's talk a little NBA here. This show's going to stay mostly football until February, but we can do a little NBA season preview here. Go ahead.
All right, let's talk a little Dylan Brooks. So the NBA season tips off tonight, and the reigning champs are facing the Lakers, LeBron and the Lakers to be specific. Now, Denver's been talking a lot of trash ever since the sweep. Los Angeles looking for revenge. What do you expect out of the new look Lakers on ring night in Denver? Tell you what,
I want to see how Austin Reeves look. Is Austin Reeves going to transition from really good story to legit third option? If he does, the Lakers are they are a cut below Milwaukee, Boston, Denver, but a cut above everybody else. And that just means you need Denver to falter a little bit. And so this game tonight, obviously I think has more of an emotional heft for the Lakers than it does for the Nuggets. And there is an element of I go back to those Western Conference Finals, And Jokic was unbelievable, but Jokic was believably unbelievable. Like, Jokic's numbers were not shocking by Jokic standards, which speaks to, you know what a great player he's become. The player who played outside of his mind was Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, just for the record, in the Western Conference Finals, was 33, 6, and 5 on 52, 40, 95 splits. Just a little context there. That is more points per game in a conference finals than Michael Jordan ever averaged, than Kobe Bryant ever averaged, than, I think it's everyone other than Amari Stoudemire and LeBron James, and there's one other guy I can't remember, are the only people to ever, maybe, that might be right, actually. I'd have to look, but that might be right, to ever average in conference finals. The reason I say that is, everyone's like, oh, what's the Lakers' answer for Jokic? In order to have made those conference finals more competitive, they didn't need a different answer for Jokic. Right. They needed Jamal Murray not to turn into prime Dwayne Wade, which is what he was in that series. And Jamal Murray's an excellent player, but he had literally crazy. One of the greatest conference finals ever. And so that's what I'm intrigued to watch that. The Nuggets are mostly the same team. The Lakers are not the same, but they have, some tweaks around the edges. And LeBron takes the court tonight. It's not only year 21, which only 6 other guys have ever gotten to, but now that Iguodala has retired, Damoza, he's the oldest player in the league. Yeah. LeBron is literally not like the oldest guy who plays a lot. No, he's the oldest player in the league. And the fact that the expectations are still that, yeah, he's around, a top 10 player, there's no context for that. The best year 21 season ever is like 7 points a game, right. And people expect LeBron to average 27. So I'm excited to watch all of that.
So
go ahead.
I've got a little stat. You're saying you're excited for the opener.
Yeah.
So the Lakers haven't won an opener since 2016. That was versus Houston.
Okay.
They haven't won an opener on the road since 2005, and that was also an overtime win against Detroit.
Oh, it's 05. That would mean the defending champion Pistons, and that would also be without Shaq. That would be the Lakers right after they had traded Shaq to the Miami Heat, because the 04 Pistons beat the – do I have that right? Yeah. The 04 Pistons beat the 04 Lakers in 5 in the finals. Then Shaq and Kobe officially broke up. I don't really care about the opener stats. I mean, I appreciate you giving them to me, but that's not – like, this is, to me, a different – spot. And I am curious, Jokic doesn't seem like the type of guy who gets extra motivated by stuff. And Jokic, to his credit, didn't talk any trash. It was all Mike Malone and tertiary pieces that were talking trash. I'm excited to see it. All right, next.
All right, so we talked about opening night. Let's talk about the season. The Suns obviously built a super team. Is this Kevin Durant's 4th or 5th super team? Do we not count OKC because it was natural? But the Suns obviously built a super team.
Sure.
Dame is playing with a freshly paid Giannis, and Wemby's finally in the league. And sure, LeBron's going on year 21 with another super team. This is probably his 3rd super team. What's the number one thing?
How are the Lakers a super team?
I might have spoke out of turn right there. They've got Austin Reeves. Yeah. Anthony Davis.
I mean, they have 2 All-Stars. Go ahead.
What's the number one thing that you're excited to track this NBA season? I know it's
all right, I've got
to
say, I mean, I'm pretty. Listen, I have been the pump the brakes on Wemby guy. The preseason got me pretty excited for him. I mean,
coming around.
It does look. I still believe the offense is going to be a major work in progress. But defensively, I don't even know what the ceiling is. I just don't know. I mean, it just seems impossible, some of the stuff that he's able to do. So I'm super excited to watch that. I don't know if you saw it, people got very mad at me last week. The internet hated this opinion, speaking of Austin Reeves, when I said we were talking Suns versus Lakers. Because Bleacher Report did a best duos in the league. And they had KD and Booker ahead of LeBron and AD. And I said I flatly think that's wrong. I think LeBron is still better than Durant. And the argument against LeBron versus certain guys is, yeah, okay, he's better, but he misses 25 games a year. But you can't use that argument in a Durant discussion. LeBron has been healthier than Durant, over the last 3 years. Ever since Durant blew his Achilles, even if you remove that season, LeBron has played more games. They score the same amount, and LeBron is, to me, just a better overall player. And so I said I thought AD was better than Booker. I think LeBron is, at the very least, dead even with Durant. So I thought they were the better duo. And then Wild said, okay, we'll find, or somebody said, I don't know if it was Wild or Brewer, I don't want to misquote him. Yeah, but then the Suns have the better trio because Bradley Beal versus Austin Reeves. And the internet killed me for this. I said I disagree with that. I said I would rather have Austin Reeves as my third option. Now, there's a very specific point I'm trying to make here, which is I think Bradley Beal, if you were like, hey, one of these guys has to be the best player on your team, obviously you'd rather have Bradley Beal. If your team's best player is Austin Reeves, you're in real trouble. But if the question is one of these guys has to be the clear-cut number 3 on your team, I have more faith and reason to believe that Austin Reeves can play that role at a high level than Bradley Beal, who's never even been the number 2 option on a team. He was the leading scorer in the NBA. And I'll also say this that people disagreed with. I think both the Lakers and the Suns would be better if Beal and Reeves switch places. I think if Reeves were on the Suns and if Beal were on the Lakers, both teams would be better. I think Beal adds things to the Lakers shooting that they need, and I think Reeves adds things to the Suns being able to contribute without having the ball in your hands and just, no, not humbleness. It's not that. I think there are, let me put it like this. Here's a different way to look at it. Take Austin Reeves and the Lakers out of it. Would the Denver Nuggets last year have been better off with Bradley Beal or Aaron Gordon? The answer is obviously Aaron Gordon. Is Bradley Beal better than Aaron Gordon? Sure. But as far as being the third option guy doing different things, Aaron Gordon was perfect for that team. Now, with all that said, Bradley Beal's already out for tonight with a back injury. So a Suns team that is, health is a major question mark and depth is a major question mark already isn't going to have their full complement of guys. But go ahead.
If Poole goes and averages 40 points this season, this isn't going off on a tangent here. But if he goes off and averages all right, not call it 40, 30 to 35 points, do you think success from Poole this season gets the guy fired that made the trade? I really want that trade to end up looking really stupid. I got a lot of sweat in that.
In what universe can Jordan Poole average 30 to 35 points?
In this one, what do you mean?
That doesn't exist. The guy can't average 30 to 35. No. I understand he's on the Wizards. He's not averaging 30 plus. Jordan Poole? Okay.
Jordan Poole.
No,
That's what I'll be tracking is the usage of Chris Paul over in the Warriors and what Jordan Poole does over there in Washington. Because you traded
Jordan Poole's in a perfect spot. He can put up empty numbers on a bad team. I get that. But he's still not going to average 30 plus. I mean, Give me a break. I mean, he's not. I don't even know what to do. That take took me by storm. Now, here is the other most interesting storyline right now in the NBA is obviously what's going to happen in Philly. People have written off the Miami Heat, maybe a touch prematurely because they didn't get Dame, and then do the Warriors have one last run in them? Which I'm fascinated by. I know you said they traded Jordan Poole for a fossil. I don't even know if Chris Paul is going to be on that team all year. But do they have one more run in them? And then one last thing. in the West, like, who do we know is going to be bad in the West? Okay, I'll start Portland. After that, the Spurs will be bad but fun to watch, and the Rockets will be bad. Every other team is trying to win. Maybe the Jazz will be bad, but take those 4 teams out. Yeah. Here are the other teams. The Pelicans, the Mavs, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Suns, the Kings, the Thunder, the Grizzlies. Okay? So that's 11 teams. One of them won't even make the play-in. 3 of them won't make the playoffs. The Grizzlies are an interesting one to watch, with Steven Adams being done for the year. The Clippers are an interesting one to watch, given their health concerns. And the Pelicans, given their health concerns, are an interesting one as well. But there are going to be some teams in the West just devastatingly disappointed on how this season goes. All right, next.
All right, it's time for a game we haven't played in a while. Public Defender. The time has come. Bring back what's right. No. First off, we're going to start off with you encouraging me to bet the Bills last week. I think you encouraged me so much that team wasn't even in my teaser. And you had me take a team out and put them in.
That's correct.
Because you were just...
That's correct. I felt
so
terribly
sure
about
that the Bills
until
are going to beat the Patriots.
You know what? I felt terribly about that until I realized your teaser died because you didn't believe in the Ravens enough. Because you had the Lions plus 13. I really felt sick about that, and then I looked back at it, and I'm like, oh, you screwed yourself before the Bills even did it. But go ahead.
All right, so, Counselor, defend your client Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills for losing to the famished Patriots.
All right, you know what? This is one of my favorite games, but in a day where we've had Monday Night Football and the Brock Purdy stuff and an NBA season preview and we're this late, I'm going to do a half-hearted effort at some of these. I have no defense of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They are exactly what the actual Nick Wright said they were. I'm not engaging on this. They are an up-and-down team that is untrustworthy, that under this iteration missed their window. Next.
Justin Herbert is 27-28 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's able to hide behind the incompetence of his coach, but Joe Burrow overcame Zach Taylor and Tom Brady overcame Bill Belichick. This guy might just be the Phillip Rivers with fewer kids. Counselor, defend your client, Justin Herbert.
Yeah, so once again, I'm going to recuse myself from this. Listen, I said it before, and it was one of the best compliments Damoza ever gave me when I just said something, and he just goes, bar. And I was like, oh, he liked what I said. Justin Herbert is not the problem, but he's paid to be the solution. And he hasn't been. And he's had back-to-back bad games right after getting paid. And Justin Herbert is a good to very good player. He should be better by now. This is undeniable.
Some of the throws that I'm seeing that he's not making has got nothing to do with coaching. It's Justin Herbert.
Correct. That's correct. And listen, he's got a rocket arm, and under better circumstances, maybe things are going differently for him. But it is undeniable that up to this point, he's been slightly disappointing, given how great he looked as a rookie. I understand I'm not really playing the public defender game right now, but that's because we're short on time, so I can't even really mentally fully get in character right now. But go ahead.
So we complain about the refs every year, but the refs had a huge role in the Rams, Steelers, and Browns, Colts, and Eagles, Dolphins finishes. Not to mention how every single call goes the way of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, Counselor, sure. Defend your client. NFL refs.
Listen, these are old guys. They're old. These are old guys. Here's what I will say. I'm glad folks are now recognizing. It's like, oh, wow, look at that. Every nationally televised game has an egregious missed call, if not more than one. It's not about the Chiefs always getting the benefit of the whistle. It's about the fact that the Chiefs, because they're the Chiefs, are in standalone nationally televised games more often than other teams. so it seems like it disproportionately impacts them.
Isn't
but
it so
every
crazy
game,
how far the Chiefs have come, dude? Like, what you just said was just wild.
I know. It's an insane thing, but it's true. But every game that you watch all the way through, you're like, oh, well, that was terrible. That was terrible. Like, there's just, the officiating in the NFL this year has not been good. There's no way around it. Just flatly hasn't been good. And then you wanted me to defend myself for betting the Bears-Raiders game. I'm not going to do that. It was one of the worst bets I've ever made in my life. Quick break, right back, answer your questions. What's right? All right, welcome back in What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 188. And guys, I love and use Airbnb all the time. Whether for a work trip or for a vacation, I'm always looking for the best places to stay. Maybe you yourself are traveling to see friends and family for the holidays. While you're away, your own home could be an Airbnb. Whether you could use extra money to cover some bills or for something a little more fun, your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. All right, Damoza, let's ask some questions here. Go ahead.
All right, Austin R. asks, Nick, when are we going to hear your wife's take on Taylor Swift now that she's inspiring Kelsey to play out of his mind?
Well, I got to ask her about that. Maybe it's evolved. I'm not sure. What I will say is, so Wilds has the best take on this. And Wilds hasn't said this on television yet, so I just give him credit. I don't know if he's going to. And his take on this is that life is high school. That your whole life, it's just high school. And so what's happening here is Taylor Swift in high school was the band kid, the music kid. And the idea of like dating the star football player was like the coolest thing imaginable.
A dream. Right.
And now she can, and she's wearing his Letterman jacket, hanging out with the other star player's girlfriend, wife, in Brittany Mahomes' case.
She's waited a long time. I'm sure there's a bunch of other tight ends she could have gotten.
And truly having the time of her life. And I think this is genuine, man. She is genuinely excited during these games, genuinely rooting for him. And you can tell there is a great image from this weekend's game. When Mahomes throws to Kelsey in the end zone, he doesn't catch it, but he gets the pass interference flag. And there's Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes side by side in the box. And Taylor jumps up, puts her hands on her face, and is like devastated. And Brittany is momentarily upset, sees the flag, and then starts celebrating. And Taylor's confused. And it's like, oh, this is like a learning football moment too.
Yeah.
Like Brittany, who, by the way, another, as Wild says, another example of this is high school. Patrick Mahomes had a crush on this girl as a 9th grader and has just been madly in love with her ever since. Just loves her. But she's been watching football forever. And
right.
She's like, oh, flag, we got it. Taylor doesn't understand what's going on. I think it's delightful. I like it. And people are like, oh, yeah. And the fact that Kelsey, another thing that was asked me yesterday, they're like, do you buy the story that Kelsey bought a new house because of this? Like the relationship, because that was reported, like lightly reported. And I'm like, totally seems plausible in this regard. People don't understand Kansas City. Kansas City has like 2 gated communities in the whole city. There's like 2 places you can live where someone can't just like come knock on your door. My guess is, I haven't been to Travis's house, but my guess is Travis was living in a normal, nice house in Kansas City, probably in the plaza or somewhere, where just literally anybody can come ring the doorbell like, hey, what up, Trav? Exactly right. 100% correct. And so I think it's like, man, like that. And so I think that's probably what happened. All right, next.
Sorry, Gronk, you missed your chance. TOC3K said, the brotherly shove is no different than when the Bears used to snap it to the fridge. Nick Perry was getting the yard, no question. Why would the league ban the modern-day version of that play? It's a lot funner than a tush push, dude.
Okay, so, no, but that's also, this is where people, TOC3K, not your fault, I apologize. But I'm going to go ahead and say you don't know what you're talking about. First of all, because the guy's name was Richard Perry. Or William Perry, Richard Perry. Now, I don't know what I'm talking about. His name was William Perry, first of all, not Nick Perry. So I'm going to, I'll check it in a moment, but I'm going to guess William, the Refrigerator Perry, has fewer than 10 career rushing attempts and fewer than 5 career touchdowns. The idea that the Bears in the 80s, who had Walter Payton at running back, were regularly giving it to their 300-pound D tackle because it was funny is just it's just not what the historical record is, and it certainly wasn't Nick Perry. All right, who is Nick? So hold on, I think
I've heard the name Nick Perry before.
I think he's a musician.
Nick Perry played for the Packers, actually, now that I think about it.
Now that you think about it. Okay, so here's William Perry's career numbers. All right? William Perry in his career has 8 rushes for 5 yards and 2 touchdowns. So first of all, decidedly did not always work. Second of all, they did it 8 times ever, 5 in 1 year. And then you add in the playoffs, he did it once in the Super Bowl. So his entire career, William Perry had 3 touchdowns. So no, it's not quite the same as the Tush Push, which was done successfully more on Sunday night than every carry of William Perry's career. Go ahead.
Producers asked, Joe LaCobb said the Warriors should retire 35 for KD. Do you agree?
So just so you know, it's Lacob.
Lacob.
Okay. Yeah, he won. Yes, he won 2 Finals MVPs for you, and then came back early from an injury because you guys put a little pressure on him, and popped his Achilles. Yeah, I do agree. I agree. You should retire his jersey. He won 2 Finals MVPs for you, and was excellent for you for 3 seasons. So yeah, you retire his jersey. By the way, it's not a statue. Like, the statue question is going to be an interesting question for the Warriors in this regard. Is it just Steph? Or do they give one to Steph, Clay, and Draymond? If they do that, is Steve Kerr on the statue? Is it one giant statue? Do they all get their own? In that, like, Iguodala to me is a retired jersey. He's a retired jersey, not a statue. That's Iggy, in my opinion. That's Iggy. So, obviously, Steph is a statue. I feel like Clay and Draymond
Kerr's got to be
statues. What?
I feel like Kerr. I feel like Kerr. I think it should be Steph, Clay, Kerr, Draymond. I mean, I really don't want Draymond
but
again.
All their own statue, or one giant
like
statue
together.
of the 4 of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Together. That to me though almost. Like, if they want to do that and then also a Steph statue. So Steph gets 2. Like, Steph needs some special treatment there.
Yeah.
But I'm a believer that, I think LeBron should have a statue in all 3 places. He obviously should get a statue in Cleveland.
Miami.
The Lakers have a lot of guys with statues. It's you know what I mean. They have a whole monument park.
No sweat to put LeBron up there.
No, I mean they had missed playoffs 6 straight years. He wins them a championship. He also broke Kareem's record in your jersey. He's played for the Lakers longer than he played for the Heat at this point. And obviously the Heat. What again, like the coolest statue that they could make for the Heat would be a statue of the famous iconic Wade. Yeah, but that to me would like be giving Wade a short shrift. Like you do that, then he also still needs his own standalone statue. You know, because Wade's the greatest player in the history of the Miami Heat franchise because of what he did, totality of his career. All right, really good show. I got to run. We don't have to answer any more questions. I'll see you guys on the herd in about 90 minutes. See you on First Things First at 3 o'clock. See if I unveil my Purdy Cousins take. We'll do it next. We'll do it all later today. See you guys. What's right? Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and Damoza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that, check it out. Appreciate y'all.